this to be a platform for local, state, and federal leaders to openly discuss their policies and important issues that affect you. It is also a platform for you, our listeners, to join in on that discussion and ask questions on those issues. And one of the big issues that we're talking about is redistricting of the congressional maps right here in Texas. And today we are welcoming Council Member Tiffany Thomas. She represents District F at City Hall. If you would like to join in this discussion, you can give us a call right now at 713-440-8870. Council Member Thomas, good morning and welcome to Hello Houston.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Good to see y'all.
We're glad you're here.
Love the studio.
Oh.
It's great.
Thanks. Yeah, that's right. Last time you were here.
It's got a good vibe.
It has a good vibe.
Yeah, we like it.
We are a vibe.
So talk to us about this money, that this $315 million in disaster relief. And your area, your District F. You making a chunk of that?
We hope so. So, I mean, we all can recall last year, a month ago, Hurricane Beryl ripped through the city of Houston. Many of us were without power for up to 11 days. Lots of damage. I had 6 leaks in my own roof, right? And the federal government moved expeditiously to make sure that Houston, along with other cities and municipalities, had their disaster recovery funds. It was the fastest award in the city's history. We received it in 1 year. Just to give context, Hurricane Harvey was in 2017. We didn't receive the money until 2019, 2020. So with the $314 million for recovery, the data showed that $299 million was for the unmet need of housing because of the structural damage. The administration initially proposed a package that addressed our resiliency gaps, because we know in this city we have gaps. Power generation, debris removal, you name it, it's an issue for us. But there was zero for housing. And that's housing.
When you say housing, are you fixing roofs with the house? Are you fixing windows?
Right.
What are we doing when you just say housing?
Right. Well, for the allocation for housing, for home repair, for those who were impacted by the storm, shingles, roof, burst pipes, you name it, and reimbursement. It's always eligible for those funds. After outcry, the administration came back with 50. The community said it's not enough. We need more. And I offered an amendment of an additional $50 million to make that package completely whole and fair for the city of Houston, so we can do what we know we do in this city, which is we recover and we invest in people and our systems. And Wednesday at council, Mayor Whitmire signaled support for that. And so in 2 weeks, this item comes back to vote on August 13th. And I'm looking forward to unanimous support to make sure that we have a fair package.
Is there anybody you think that won't support it?
I hope not. The reality is that $314 million is not a lot of money when you look at the scheme of, the whole setup of recovery. And there's some things that we have to do. What the $100 million allows us to do is still address the inventory shortage that we have and preserve housing existing stock. We talk about affordability in Houston because that's our thing, right? But with all of the 11 federally declared disasters in this city, there'll be a time that Houston will not be affordable. There'll be a time Houstonians will make decisions not to stay here anymore because they're tired of repair.
A lot of Houstonians are already feeling that and feeling that our affordability is going away and that they are looking at other options.
Absolutely.
This other money, this $200 million that'll be left, is that some of that going to the trucks that pick up garbage? I know that y'all passed
Absolutely,
that.
yes.
And what other projects?
Yeah, so this 314 is a more of a complete package where it allows us to address debris removal. Many neighborhoods were barricaded in their home because the tree had fell. They couldn't get out. We didn't have a system in place to deploy. This also addresses high water vehicles, the equipment we need in order to do immediate rescue, and also power generation. The reality is that when the power goes out in your neighborhood, there should be a public facility for you to go temporarily to charge up your oxygen tank, your medicine, your phones. And when you return home, you should also have funding available to make sure that you can stabilize. So what this does, it allows us to address our areas where we don't have generation, fire stations, important wastewater facilities, public works, water, all of that, to make sure that that continues to operate. But it also puts money back in our communities.
Nice. That's great. So what do you think about the GRB and the expansion of that?
Ooh, curveball.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
why
we were just talking
I
about
know. That's why I love representing the West Side, because the GRB's on the East Side. So I'm gonna let Councilmember Martinez handle that. But let me, if I may, the expertise I have is that not only am I a council member, but I'm a newly tenured faculty member at Prairie View, associate professor of community development, and we talk a lot about how freeway expansion and urban renewal and how neighborhoods are often cut out of either economic basis or how it damages mobility. And I think that the conversation that's happening with the people for Polk Street, it's a meaningful conversation that we have to pay attention to, because what we could be seeing is a relic of the old, of how freeways would expand and disrupt neighborhoods, eminent domain, closed businesses. And in Houston, we do things differently, and we've modeled that. And so I think what is playing out in the public square is government, community, individuals, business interests having a real conversation about, like, how do we really do this? And so I know that comes before a vote. I believe soon. I don't know. And so I'm sensitive to the people, though, the people of Polk.
And our guest was making the point that you can spend all this money on convention centers. At the end of the day, you're not going to get it back. The convention business has dropped by 2/3 of what it used to be, thanks to the 2008 recession. That changed business models. And then, of course, COVID changed business models. So people aren't going to conventions like they used to.
They don't even go to church the same way. Everyone streams it.
Thank you.
I went to a conference in July, the National Urban League in Cleveland. There was a whole virtual component before people even showed up.
I'm surprised y'all all meet in person at City Council.
I did appreciate the virtual during COVID. I would say that. I did appreciate that screen action. But yes, I mean, I think, and also a larger conversation is just about the mobility in the city. If we want to create communities of choice, not circumstance, then we have to look to make sure that if I live on Polk Street, I can get to the east and the west side of downtown. Can I access good schools? Can I access, workforce centers? Do I have access to transit? And I think if we keep those questions in front of us, we'll always make the best decision for Houston.
That's right. And we are speaking with Council Member Tiffany Thomas. You can join the conversation at 713-440-8870. Council Member Thomas represents District F at City Hall. Now, I'm going to move us along into one of the real hot topics right now, and that is redistricting. You brought some maps in that show, and we're going to try to get those maps.
Well, those maps are for the disaster money, just to talk about in context of housing. But the maps that you're speaking of that are out from the House, it's a gut punch in terms of what those proposed maps, what they do to neighborhoods that I represent. We are already gerrymandered. The last redistricting cycle after the 2020 census, just the neighborhood I live in A-Leaf. We have historically had Congressman Al Green in the Texas 9. They split us after 2020. We are now Texas 7 and Texas 9. So I have two congressional members, Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher and Congressman Al Green. With this proposed map, the neighborhood I live in, the school district, A-Leaf ISD, now has 3 congressional members. So imagine lobbying, being in relationship with 3 members that have no connection to the people, the district, the community, the needs that you have. I've been moved to Texas 8. Montgomery County is supposed to represent my interest, right? And I have the largest West African population, high concentration of Chinese Americans, Vietnamese Americans, South Indian Asians, you name it. We got it, and we're split in 3 with 3 congressional members just in A-Leaf, and then Briar Meadow has been extracted out to be represented by Texas District 38 Wesley Hunt. So we have 4 congressional members in 1 council district.
We all know what's going on.
We know what's going on.
I mean,
yes,
that's the elephant in the room.
Do you feel like when you're working with your 4 congressional members, they're very different?
Correct.
Wesley Hunt, Lizzie Fletcher, we have both Republican and Democrat. Do you feel like all 4 are listening to you and representing you equally?
Well, if this map moves forward, we'll have 4. Currently, we have 2. Right? We have Lizzie Fletcher and Al Green. And every time we call, we can make it happen. But I would just say in terms of the political power a cohesive neighborhood needs, needs. Why? That's a lot of labor to lobby 4 different people to explain your interests each time. What I know we've counted on, as we're talking about disaster, is that they've delivered disaster funds for Houston consistently in their office. And I just don't think that District F or any other city district should have to compete against 4 congressional members for their interests for recovery. Sometimes it's very clear the interests of Montgomery County are not the interests of Alief or West Chase or Piney Point or Acres Home, Independent Heights. And so I think it's unfair. We know exactly what's happening. And I've just been encouraging residents to put their frustration on paper and send their opposition in.
I'm sure that Gene Wu and some of the Democrats that are in this legislature have heard this argument that you were making.
Absolutely.
Have they been trying to express it, and is it just falling on deaf ears?
Yeah, I mean, they're actively on the ground and, advocating for our behalf in Austin at the public hearings. But, I was on the phone with a resident. She's 84 years old. She lives in Bel Air West. And I was telling her what's happening. And she says, well, what do you mean what's going on? So I think the everyday person may not be aware. Our seniors, our seniors, those that are living their lives, they may hear something on the news, but they don't know how this is going to impact them in their daily life. I think of my father, who we live in the same zip code. He is still in Texas 7. I'm in Texas 8. We live in the same zip code. So,
I think you're right. A lot of people, we've been gerrymandered before.
Right.
It's a term you'll have to learn in civics in ninth grade. And so you hear it again and you're like, oh, whatever.
Sure.
We'll survive.
Sure.
Whatever they do, we'll survive. But this one is so pointed.
Correct.
It has a mission.
It does.
And it's not to be fair.
No.
And that's, I think, what people don't realize and need to understand.
Yeah, it's not to be fair, but they will feel it. They'll feel it when it's about their Medicaid. They'll feel it when it's their Social Security. They'll feel it when there's a disaster. And then we won't have the spirit of the late Sheila Jackson Lee coming in with 18 wheeler water. They'll feel it when their interests are not represented in the nation's capital. And the reality is local government, we see it firsthand all the time. And so I think the rallying call must continue. Every congregation, civic club, everyone should be talking about this, because this is going to impact us for the next few years.
And again, you can join the conversation at 713-440-8870. We are talking to Council Member Tiffany Thomas, who represents District F. Yeah.
Well, you're going to, I guess, go to Austin at all?
Well, I've sent in my letter of opposition, and I have been working with other elected members in the area, our school trustees, making sure that they lend their voice to this issue as well. The reality is that this is the same Texas legislature that assaulted our public school system. So I think our school trustees have to, raise their hand and say that we are in opposition of this. When we look at what's happening at the federal level, the individuals that they are proposing to represent us want to remove the U.S. Department of Education, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're not aligned in terms of values. So no matter if you're an elected official, you volunteer with AARP, whatever you do, you find your way to that public comments list and let your representative know what's going on.
If these maps move forward and it is a done deal, and you have now, we'll go back to it, you have 2 congressional representatives, you'll have 4.
Yeah.
How will you work with Wesley Hunt, who is a Republican, you all will have to essentially align on moving forward what people in your area need?
We do. I mean,
You'll have to work together, don't you think?
Right, but how?
That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah,
how will
I don't
you
know
work
how,
together?
when what I witness is the opposite. I don't see at the local level, because we're nonpartisan seats, and of course we all have partisan leaning perspectives. We have to get it done for Houstonians every day.
Right.
We can't afford not to recover neighborhoods. But what we're seeing play out on TV and national politics is that there's no interest in that, because what the maps that they have proposed, they're partisan, and they're very aggressive with a certain mission. So after you split up and weaken the political voice of the neighborhood I live in, the people that I represent, and then there's supposed to be an expectation that you're going to honor the minority voices with integrity. I have not seen that. And until we witness that, then I don't know how we can move forward together.
There's a term I heard, I'm sure you know it, dummymandering, where you try to gerrymander to your party's benefit,
sure,
and it backfires on
sure,
you. Mm-hmm. Is there any chance you think, at least in the Houston area, this could backfire?
Yeah, I do. And I think what you can possibly see is that, we are bringing incumbents into neighborhoods where they don't have deep roots, they don't have connection, they don't have name ID. And if they do have name ID, it may not be favorable. So they could, see a primary challenger. So it may not work in their favor either. And so, and the reality is that we do have another census coming in 2030 where we'll have to do new maps again. So I think, it's no fun when a rabbit got the gun. And so they have to be careful what they ask for because they may be challenged just simply based on this.
2030 seems so far away, but yet it is just right around the corner.
I know.
So how do you think we're going forward, like with FIFA and some of the big challenges coming our way as a city?
Yeah, FIFA's a big deal. We're looking forward to it. We were excited when we were awarded, the city of Houston was awarded to host FIFA, but there's a lot of demand that's going to come on our city from our businesses, our streets, our infrastructure, and especially our public safety. From the reports that have been shared, they are actively working out a plan in order to prepare for FIFA. I personally will probably be out of town. Y'all can have it.
Careful with that.
I am out of here, giving space for people to enjoy the city. But I think that that's the type of Houston should always be on the national stage, the international stage, because we are a national city. But I definitely think that this is going to be a test for us in terms of capacity and what we're able to do. We do know Super Bowl, we know All-Star, we know March Madness, we know all of that. FIFA is
We've pulled it off.
We've pulled it off, and I believe we will again.
Hey, we have a call for you. Ted is on the line from North Houston.
Hi, Ted.
Hi, Ted. What's up?
Yes, it's the power play that they're doing right now. They're moving fast because what happens is they go ahead and redistrict. By the time you guys file and get any kind of litigation going, it's going to take about 4 to 5 years.
That's right.
Meanwhile, they'll have to put those seats there.
That's right.
And there's nothing you can really do about it until 4 or 5 years. So the best thing is for them to walk out, I think.
Thank you for that. I see you nodding your head, Tiffany.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, listen, I think sometimes, like Mike Tyson said, sometimes you got to get punched in the mouth, and they are playing real games. And so I think, Democrats have to really stand up and represent their constituency. If I was not elected and I just was casually Googling what my representative was doing on my behalf, I would want to see my representative fighting. I would want my representative doing everything they could to make sure that our neighborhoods can stay intact, our political voices could stay intact, and that we wouldn't, just kind of default to whatever's presented.
You think they'll try a walkout? It's not practical. But that's their only solution.
It's their only solution. Carol Robinson mentioned something last week, and he talked about how every Democrat voted for the Speaker of the House. And everyone voted for the Speaker of the House, but they didn't negotiate reversing the rule of the walkout, right? They voted for the House to get chairmanships and vice chairmanships for no power, right, in the House where we don't really have power. And both sides of the arguments could be made. Right. But I think when we are lending our names to votes in these type of situations, you got to come to the table with something. I'm not going to just vote you in power to see you stab me in my chest,
right.
And then walk away and I bleed out. And so I think there's a call to action that communities asking our state representatives to do.
That is a very good point. We did negotiate.
Do have a call on the line, Luke from Tanglewood, who has a question or comment for Councilmember Thomas. Luke, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question?
Well, my comment is this: when I grew up, and I'm 73 years old, when I grew up, gerrymandering was against the law. It was looked at as a corruption of democracy. Mm-hmm. It was looked at as being a horrible thing that should never happen. And I'm shocked that this has become the norm in the state of Texas. How did this happen?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, and it still is illegal if it's done on the basis of race. Is there any chance that people could make the argument that this has been done on the basis of race?
Well, the same governor and legislature just argued in court in El Paso that the maps that they drew were race neutral. So again, they just testified at the Supreme Court saying that the maps that they've presented historically are not. And now they're making the argument that they are. So I think, at the end of the day, Texas has to stand up and demand something else. We have to consistently have these type of conversations. And yes, is it exhausting? Yes. Is there a lot of chaos around us? Yes. Is that intentional? Yes. But we have to continue to have these conversations at our kitchen table and not just on social media to remind folks that this is illegal. You have an opportunity to respond to this.
Now, Councilmember Thomas, now there is the argument that many people are saying that both parties do this type of gerrymandering.
Sure, and I think the most recent example I heard is when Harris County changed the lines for Precinct 4 with Jack Cagle at that time when he was the incumbent. But neighborhoods were not split up. Right? Neighborhoods were not split. Were they position split? Precinct 3 was made more Republican leaning. In 2024, I believe Precinct 4 went Trump. I think by the national numbers. So, I mean, anyone could make the argument that if it was a competitive race, any candidate could have made it. And so is it a good thing? No. But the reality is that what this is not what we're seeing with the proposed map. They're literally splitting political power and dividing neighborhoods where we don't have cohesiveness. In Precinct 4 and those county maps, you still have cohesiveness between counties 1, 2, 3, and 4. At the end of the day, their interests are very similar. At the local level, no neighborhood should have 3 congressional members.
And maybe 4.
And maybe 4.
So we'll end it here. I mean, it's a power grab.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Council Member Tiffany Thomas, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you.
And good job with the housing money.
Thank you.
That's great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Coming up.